When someone hurts you, the first thing they expect is your reaction. They want your anger, your tears, your attention, because that gives them power. But here's the truth. You don't give your power away. You don't respond how they expect. Instead, you confuse them. You shift the game, because the moment you stop playing by their rules, they lose control, and you take it back. When someone hurts you, the instinctive response is to fire back, to lash out, to prove a point, or to demand that they feel the same pain they caused you. But here's what happens when you react exactly how they expect. You give them a blueprint to your emotions. They know which buttons to press, how to push you off balance, and how to control the direction of the interaction. The moment your emotions are predictable, you hand over your power without realizing it. That is why silence becomes one of the most powerful tools you have. Silence is not weakness, and it is not avoidance. Silence is strategy. When you don't react immediately, you create space between the moment of impact and your response. In that space, you gain clarity, you regain composure, and you force the other person to sit with their actions without the reward of your reaction. Control is not about dominating someone else. It's about mastering yourself. The person who has control of themselves, their emotions, and their responses is always the strongest one in the room. Most people think strength is loud. They believe strength comes from shouting, proving, or showing they won't back down, but real strength is measured in restraint. When you control your reaction, you are demonstrating that someone else's behavior does not dictate your state of mind, and that is deeply unsettling for those who seek to control you. The moment they realize they cannot provoke you, they also realize they cannot manipulate you. Think about it. When someone tries to insult you or provoke you, they are looking for confirmation that they have succeeded in getting under your skin. If you explode, argue, or defend yourself, they've achieved their goal. But if you remain composed, if your silence speaks louder than any words could, you create a void that they cannot fill. They expect conflict, but what they get is nothingness, and in that nothingness, they feel powerless. That's the essence of control, making someone feel the weight of their own actions without giving them anything to hold on to from you. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend you are not hurt. It means you choose when and how to express them in a way that serves you, not the other person. Reacting in the moment almost always serves them. Responding later, on your own terms, serves you. This subtle but important shift ensures you don't become a puppet to someone else's behavior. You become the one holding the strings because you decide how and when to engage, if at all. Controlling your reaction also teaches people how to treat you. When you don't reward bad behavior with your attention, you set a boundary without even needing to announce it. You're communicating that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on childish games or destructive behavior. Over time, people learn that provoking you is pointless because it yields nothing, and when that realization sets in, they either step up or step out. Either way, you win. It takes discipline to master this. It takes practice to not fire back when every fiber of your being is telling you to react. But if you can build that discipline, you shift from being someone who is easily manipulated to someone who is untouchable. Control your reaction, and you control the situation. Control your reaction, and you control yourself. That is where your true power lies. Confusion is one of the most underestimated tools in human interaction because most people operate on predictable scripts. When someone hurts you, insults you, or tries to push your buttons, they expect you to fire back, get defensive, or show pain. This expectation is what gives them a sense of control, because when they can predict your reaction, they know how to keep you trapped in their cycle. But when you choose not to respond in the way they expect, when you introduce confusion, you shatter their strategy. Suddenly, they don't know what comes next, and that uncertainty takes away their power. Confusion disarms more effectively than confrontation, because confrontation feeds the conflict, while confusion removes the foundation the conflict is built on. When you confuse someone who seeks to provoke you, you stop playing their game. Imagine someone throws an insult at you, sharp and designed to sting. If you argue, they know you're hurt. If you cry, they know they've won. But if you smile, remain calm, or even respond in a way that doesn't match the energy they threw at you, they're left scrambling. They were prepared for a battle, not for composure. They expected anger, not calm. This mismatch forces them to recalculate, and in that recalculation, they lose their rhythm. Once they've lost rhythm, they lose control, and you regain it. Confusion doesn't mean acting irrational or out of character. It means breaking the pattern. It's refusing to give them the emotional script they've already written for you. If they expect tears, you give them a steady gaze. If they expect defensiveness, you give them silence. If they expect submission, you give them indifference. This sudden disruption creates a mental gap, and in that gap, they begin to second, guess themselves. Did their words not land? Do you not care? Did they misjudge you entirely? That self-doubt becomes more powerful than anything you could have said in retaliation. People who thrive on hurting others feed off of reactions. They study them, they manipulate them, and they depend on them to validate their control. Confusion starves them. It cuts off their supply. It makes them question their own effectiveness. The more they try to provoke, and the less they succeed, the weaker they become. You don't have to raise your voice or prove your worth. The simple act of being unpredictable strips them of the outcome they wanted. And because they don't understand what's happening, their frustration grows while your power remains intact. Think about how unsettling it feels when you can't predict what someone will do. Predictability feels safe even in conflict. If someone screams at you, you know how to respond. But when someone looks back at you calmly, when they don't play into the scene you tried to script, it throws you off balance. That's the exact feeling you want to create in the person who tried to hurt you. The more they try to box you into a role and fail, the more they realize they have no influence over you. That realization is far more painful to them than any words you could fire back. By choosing confusion over confrontation, you put yourself in a position of psychological advantage. You're not ignoring what they've done, and you're not pretending it doesn't hurt. You're simply refusing to let them dictate your behavior, and that refusal creates an aura of strength they cannot penetrate. They expect a fight, but they get a riddle. They expect weakness, but they get mystery. They expect to see the old patterns, but you've broken free. And in that moment, you've not only disarmed them, you've shifted the entire balance of power in your favor. Predictability is one of the easiest ways to give someone power over you, because when they can anticipate how you'll respond, they can control the entire interaction before it even happens. People who want to hurt you, manipulate you, or test your limits thrive on patterns. If they know you'll always argue back, always cry, or always try to explain yourself, they can weaponize that against you. They don't even have to think. They simply push the same button and get the same result. That's why being predictable is dangerous. It makes you an open book, and open books are easy to read, easy to use, and easy to discard. Unpredictability, on the other hand, is a form of power. It keeps people on edge, it keeps them cautious, and it prevents them from assuming they have you figured out. When you are unpredictable, people can't prepare for you. They can't rely on the same tricks or the same words to shake you. They don't know if you'll respond with silence, with strength, with indifference, or with something they've never seen before. That uncertainty forces them to think twice before coming at you, because they're not sure how it will end. The less predictable you are, the more intimidating you become, because unpredictability is the enemy of control. Think about someone who insults you expecting outrage, but instead you laugh. They try to guilt you, but instead you walk away. They try to corner you, and instead you stay calm and composed. Every time you respond differently than expected, you create dissonance in their mind. They start to realize that their old strategies don't work, that they cannot rely on the same patterns, and that you are not the person they thought you were. That realization can be more unsettling to them than anything you say, because it forces them to confront the truth. They don't own you, they don't control you, and they don't know what you'll do next. Predictability is a comfort zone not just for you, but for those who want to manipulate you. They count on you being consistent in your reactions because it makes their job easier, but when you shift that dynamic, when you refuse to be pinned down to one reaction, you break their rhythm. You create an air of mystery that forces them to step back and reassess, and while they're caught in that pause, you've already taken back control. That's the power of unpredictability. It buys you space, and in that space, you gain leverage. Being unpredictable doesn't mean being reckless or erratic. It means being intentional about not falling into the traps set for you. It means sometimes choosing silence, sometimes choosing composure, and sometimes choosing to disengage entirely. It means knowing that you always have more than one option in how you respond, and that choosing the unexpected one puts you in a stronger position. It keeps people guessing, and when people are guessing, they're no longer in control. You are. This kind of power unnerves people who seek to hurt you because they can't plan for it. They can't prepare a strategy when they don't know which version of you they're going to face. And in that uncertainty, they lose the advantage. You stop being someone they can predict, and you become someone they have to respect, or at least tread carefully around. That's the shift unpredictability creates. It transforms you from a target into a question mark, and a question mark is far more powerful than any predictable response could ever be. Detachment is not about shutting off your emotions or pretending you don't feel pain. It's about refusing to let those emotions run the show. When someone hurts you, the first reaction is usually emotional: anger, sadness, betrayal, frustration. Those feelings are natural, but if you let them control how you respond, you're giving away your power. Emotional reactions are like open doors for the other person to walk right through and manipulate. If they see anger, they know how to fuel it. If they see sadness, they know how to deepen it. If they see desperation, they know how to exploit it. But when you detach, when you create that invisible line between what you feel and how you respond, you protect yourself from being controlled. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It means composure. It means learning to pause and view the situation from the outside instead of being consumed by the heat of the moment. Imagine stepping back from your emotions almost like an observer. You acknowledge them, you accept them, but you don't let them dictate your next move. That separation is where your strength lies. When you respond from a place of strategy rather than a place of impulse, you turn the tables. Instead of being predictable and easy to manipulate, you become measured, precise, and far harder to read. When you detach emotionally, you buy yourself time to think clearly, time to decide what serves you, and time to assess whether the other person even deserves a response at all. People who try to hurt you are often banking on an immediate reaction because immediacy leaves no room for reflection. They want you to act now, to be impulsive, to give them exactly what they were aiming for. But detachment denies them that. It creates a pause, a silence, a gap that they cannot control, and in that gap, you take back the power they were trying to steal. Responding strategically is the natural partner to detachment. Strategy means you're not reacting for their benefit, you're acting for yours. You're thinking about the long game, about what preserves your energy, about what positions you in strength, about what leaves them with nothing to hold on to. Sometimes that means saying nothing at all. Sometimes it means responding with calm, measured words. Sometimes it means walking away entirely. The point is, the response is chosen, not triggered. It comes from control, not from chaos. And that difference changes everything. There's also a psychological advantage that comes with detachment. When people try to hurt you, they expect you to be emotionally invested in the exchange. They expect you to care, to fight, to defend yourself. When you detach, you signal that their actions don't control your emotional world. That signal is powerful because it unsettles them. If they can't impact your emotions, what influence do they really have over you? That's the question detachment forces them to confront, and it's often the one they can't answer. Detachment also protects your energy. Every emotional reaction you give away is energy spent on someone else's terms. Over time, those reactions add up, draining you while feeding the other person. But when you detach, you conserve your strength. You keep your focus where it belongs, on yourself, your peace, and your growth. You refuse to become a puppet pulled by someone else's strings. Instead, you become the one holding the strings, deciding when and how to move, if at all. This practice isn't easy. It takes discipline to pause when every part of you wants to react. It takes self-awareness to notice when your emotions are about to take over. But every time you manage to step back and respond strategically, you reinforce your own power. You teach yourself that no one else gets to dictate your behavior. And the more you practice detachment, the stronger and freer you become, because you realize your emotions are yours to manage, not theirs to provoke. Power dynamics in any relationship or interaction are built on the rules of engagement. When someone hurts you, manipulates you, or tries to provoke you, they are essentially setting the rules for how they want the exchange to play out. They expect you to follow those rules without question, and the moment you do, you're already at a disadvantage. You're stepping onto their playing field where they've set the terms and know the strategies. That's why refusing to play their game is so important. The second you decide not to follow their script, the power shifts. You're no longer reacting to their moves. Instead, you're creating your own. When you don't play their game, you strip them of control. Think of it like a chess match. If they make a move and you counter exactly how they predicted, they're already 2 steps ahead of you. But if you make a move they never saw coming, their strategy collapses. Suddenly, they're no longer confident. They're questioning themselves, scrambling to adjust, and realizing they can't rely on the tactics that once worked on you. That uncertainty is where your strength grows. It's the difference between being someone who is managed by others and someone who manages themselves. The reason people push your buttons is because they know which ones work. They've learned the patterns of your reactions, and they're counting on you to stay in those patterns. But when you stop playing by those rules, when you no longer give them the tears, the anger, or the defensiveness they're trying to provoke, you change the entire landscape. They can't win a game if you're not even on the board. They can't manipulate you if you don't engage on their terms. That's what makes power shift so dramatically. You're no longer a participant in their control. You've become the one setting the boundaries. This doesn't mean you're ignoring what happened or pretending it didn't affect you. It means you're choosing how to handle it in a way that strengthens you, not them. You're showing that you are not dictated by someone else's behavior, that you have the ability to decide your response, and that your sense of self-worth doesn't depend on their approval or validation. That kind of independence is powerful because it cannot be taken away. No one can strip it from you because it doesn't rely on them. It relies on you. Walking away when someone expects a fight is power. Responding with calm when someone expects rage is power. Smiling when someone expects to see you broken is power. Each of these choices demonstrates that you are not trapped in the role they tried to force you into. You've rewritten the rules in real time, and they have no choice but to adjust. That adjustment makes them weaker, and it makes you stronger because you are in control of the interaction, not them. The more you practice not playing their game, the less influence people have over you. Over time, even those who once knew how to provoke you will realize it no longer works. The old patterns they relied on are gone, and with them, their sense of power over you disappears. Instead, you set a new standard, one where people understand that your reactions are not theirs to control, that your peace is not theirs to disturb, and that your boundaries are not theirs to cross. Power shifts when you decide that you don't owe anyone the reaction they expect. It shifts when you realize that choosing not to play is sometimes the most powerful move you can make, because the truth is, no one can win a game against you if you refuse to sit at the table. And once you master that, you'll never be controlled by someone else's rules again.